Hi, good afternoon, morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us to this webinar, where we will be featuring the Groundwater and Global Change Master's Program, GroundwatCh. So thank you again for registering for this webinar and joining us today. I would also like to thank all the speakers, coordinators of the program for joining us today from different countries, from the Netherlands, Portugal, Germany, and they will give you more details about the program in a few minutes. So it will be divided into two big segments. The first segment where the program will be introduced. This will be also subdivided to 4 sub-segments and will last for like 30 minutes, the first half, and the second half will be mostly for our interaction with the speakers, asking your questions and getting detailed answers for them. The setup will be also that you will share the questions through the Q&A, like in a written way, and maybe if the time allows, we will take a few live interaction, like 2 or 3 questions from the audience directly. That's it in brief in terms of logistics, and maybe to save time and to give more time for the questions at the end, we can directly start by the first part, where Dr. Tibor Stigter will introduce the program, and the next speakers will continue with the program details and application and deployment and funding. And I will introduce each speaker before their segment directly. So Tibor Stigter is Associate Professor of Hydrogeology and Groundwater Resources at IHE Delft Institute for Water Education. He has a PhD degree from the University of Lisbon in Portugal and over 20 years of experience in groundwater resources assessments through research, training, and capacity building with an expertise in hydrochemistry and applied geophysics. He currently coordinates and collaborates in several projects in Africa, groundwater science, ESSA, and he co-supervises 8 PhD students and many MSc students. He also worked in Colombia and Vietnam, and he is the initiator and coordinator of the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Program GroundwatCh that we are discussing today, and he also shares the IAH Groundwater and Climate Change Commission. Dr. Tibor, the floor is yours.
Thanks, thanks, Michel. Good indeed morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone, depending on where you are. I'm very happy and thankful to be able to present a bit on the program. As Michel was mentioning, we will present it in kind of 4 blocks. Basically, I'll give a brief introduction, and then I'll move on. I'll give the floor to my colleagues. And I think you're most interested in understanding a bit more about the program and how it came, how we built it. And here you see actually photos of the first 8 editions of this program that started, in fact, in 2014, with the first batch coming in 2015 on this program on groundwater and global change, impact and adaptation. Now, Karen, if you could share the next slide. On this next slide, you will see kind of this should be an animation. If you visit yeah, for some reason it is not working this moment. You can bring up the diagram, thanks. So what you'll see here is basically that we try to link groundwater to all the different fields. So the core, of course, is groundwater and global change, understanding the impact from an increasing demand in freshwater, a developing world, growing population, growing demand, but especially understanding the resource groundwater and how it links to all the different parts of the, of course, hydrological cycle, but also how it links to society and how it links to climate. So you see the core field, and then there's the small fields around it, the small circles. Right, just you can see basically groundwater and the link to, no, you can go back one, sorry, groundwater link to ecosystems, the link to quality and pollution, climate and climate change, of course, IWRM and society, and of course the need for sustainable development of this still finite resource, and the water infrastructure. And you see in the yellow ring around the very important link to data. Data is gathering data, is building information and evidence for policymaking, and data allows modeling. So monitoring results in data, and data can be used and should be used in modeling scenarios, etc. Yes, next slide, please, Karen. So, and here you just see a kind of reports and scientific papers on the link of groundwater to climate change and how there are important feedback mechanisms between groundwater and climate in general and climate change in specific. And these are links to chapters of the World Water Development Report of 2022, as you, of course, many of you know, the year of making the invisible visible, the year of groundwater. Yes, next slide, please. And then just to show you a slide that we presented, a poster we presented on a conference around the philosophy of groundwater and global change, our master program, our joint master program. Of course, we know, many of us know there is a lack of professionals in this very important field that is groundwater, and it's the need to preserve its ecological value. So therefore, our philosophy links to teaching groundwater science from multiple perspectives across this climatic gradient, from the more arid south of Europe and many parts of the world to the wetter parts where we also have issues with rainfall intensity. And we do that through an interdisciplinary and applied approach, where we ensure that link to societal needs and the labor market needs with a lot of associated partners. These are organizations, governments, etc., that link to the program and that can take in students for internships and thesis topics, etc. And we, of course, through fellowships, want to promote the inclusive access to groundwater education. Next slide, please, Karen. And my last two slides are to just indicate both the very important angle we have from the field, so the field perspective on measuring data on the ground, from hydrology to meteorology to groundwater levels and chemistry. So measuring things on the ground to the next slide, Karen, to applying it in a context where we link it to more like advanced techniques in remote sensing, the collaboration cross sector that is needed, the climate change modeling that is happening. So all these important fields that somehow connect to groundwater as the largest freshwater reservoir on Earth, of course. And then finally, this is an example of projects where you could be involved in, also through your internship or your thesis, or later as professionals, where we apply groundwater field research to geophysics, water levels, and chemistry to understand links to wetlands and to be able to model these links into interactions in the long term, and also scenarios of water demand and climate. So with that, I would hand over back the word to Michel, so you can introduce the next speaker, and you can move to the next slide.
Sure. Thank you so much for this introduction, where we saw also the broader image of this program, not only focusing on the direct groundwater component, but how it can be also applied through different ways also, and its impact on our daily life in general. Now we will move to the program, to more details about the program with Teresa Melo. So Teresa Melo is a hydrogeologist with more than 25 years of experience in groundwater hydrology, monitoring, and environmental consultancy. She holds a BSc from UC Coimbra in Portugal, MSc degree from UPC Barcelona in Spain, and PhD degree from UA Aveiro in Portugal, with 3-year research training at the hydrogeology group of the British Geological Survey. She lectures and coordinates the Erasmus Mundus GroundwatCh program, so this program at the University of Lisbon, IST Lisbon. Her research work includes contributions to the EU Water Framework Directive, Portuguese River Basin Management Plans, and several research projects across Europe, Latin America, and Africa. So Teresa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Michael. And hello to everybody in different parts of the world. Thanks for joining us. This is a program that we like very much and that we like to work together. So today I'm going to explain you a little bit how the mobility of the students works between the 3 partners. And the first semester starts in Lisbon in September. I'm just hosting the first batch of this third funding phase of the GroundwatCh program. So students are now with us in Lisbon. And by the end of February, they'll move to IHE Delft. And then in September to TU Dresden. So at each university, there are 6 months, more or less 6 months to carry out different courses. And then the last semester is the thesis phase, where students are split in equal numbers in principle between the 3 universities. We start, Michael or Karen, can you move to the next slide? Okay, so during the first semester in Lisbon, we have basically introductory courses. There's one on hydrology and water resources, another one on hydrogeology, a third one in integrated river basin management. And the semester in Lisbon is organized in 7-week program. And then in the second part of the semester, we have groundwater pollution, integrated river management, applied hydrogeology, and also an elective. After the students finish their semester in Lisbon, there are interdisciplinary courses that usually related to social participation, and also the beginning of some field work experience, because as Tibor explained already, we give a lot of importance also to the experience in the field, because to validate our models, to know if the results make any sense, it's important that our students have field experience and understand the meaning of the parameters that they use to calibrate those models. During the second semester at IHE, there's another set of disciplines complementary to the ones they had in Lisbon, and we try to combine so that there's not a significant overlap between the courses, but there's a smooth continuation. And so in Delft, students get geochemistry and tracer hydrology, hydrological modeling, an interdisciplinary project that includes hydrology, fieldwork, and group work. And that's usually one of the most favorite parts of the semester, I believe. And then there's a groundwater in adaptation to global change and some electives. Last semester in Dresden, before starting the thesis, students usually have more opportunities to choose electives. Okay, so they have as obligatory courses climate systems and climate modeling, a study project that can be shared between the three universities. That means having a supervisor from TU Dresden, but also co-supervisors from in topics suggested by Lisbon or IHE, and a soil water course. The other ones are electives, and so students can decide their curriculum. The first semester is the one that's, well, students usually start worrying about this fourth semester already at the beginning. Now in Lisbon, I'm already receiving questions about topics of the thesis, and I think it's too early. And so the topics, the thesis topics, Karen, can you go to the next slide? Okay, oh, sorry. So I'll go, Karen, one more and then, okay. And so on the thesis topics, the only, be careful. Okay, so related to the thesis topics, it needs to be related somehow to groundwater, okay? And the topics can be raised by each of the university partners or by our associated partners, this long list of more than 40 associated partners where students can either do internship, but also do part of their master thesis in collaboration with these partners. And the students can also raise their own topics, but it's important that there's a project behind those topics raised by students, because there's always some funding needed for those topics raised by students. So we honestly, we prefer to integrate students in our own projects or in projects related to the partners. because if a student suggests a topic without any funding, it's difficult to carry out the analysis, the field work, and all the parts that is required for the thesis. Karen, one more. Okay, and in terms of thesis phase, it starts, so it's the last semester, it starts in March of the second academic year, but actually we start talking about the topics by the end of the first year. And that's when we go to Dresden, usually to make the first presentation of the topics for the students. And as I was telling you, there's a lot of anxiety related to these thesis topics, because students want to start immediately thinking about them. That during, I believe during the 2 years, there's quite a lot of time to decide. I think it's important that students meet the professors from the 3 universities. So it's not fair to start deciding during the first semester in Lisbon, because students still need to go to Delft and Dresden to meet different researchers and professors and decide on the topics and get to know which are the main projects that the different partners do. And we try to balance this distribution between master theses between the 3 universities. Some years there's preference for one or for the other, but we do our best to balance this distribution. And the final list of topics is presented in December before the beginning of the last semester. Okay, and I already mentioned that the topics can be proposed by you, but always through a partner organization that can co-fund it.
Thank you, Teresa, for this clear overview of the program in terms of subdivision of different countries, also topics, the season phase, the fieldwork, the modules, everything. Thank you so much. It's time to move to the application now after learning about the program itself. So this will be with Brindha Karthikeyan, who is a lecturer in hydrogeology at IHE Delft Institute for Water Education. She has a PhD in environmental sciences, specializing in hydrogeology from Anna University in India, and a habilitation in integrated groundwater resource management from Frem University, Berlin in Germany. With over a decade of experience, she focuses on developing applied solutions to real-time groundwater issues with a strong capacity building component. Her international experience includes projects in low and middle-income countries across Asia and Africa. Brindha is a recipient of the Linnaeus Palm Fellowship and serves as an associate editor of the Hydrogeology Journal. So, Brindha, can you tell us more about the applications of this program?
Thank you, Michel. Good day to one and all. This webinar actually comes at the right time because the applications are now open for the next phase. So please take your pen and paper and note down all the key information that I'm going to share in the next few slides. Yeah. So if you want to become a GroundwatCher starting in September 2025, then you have to start with your applications now. The deadline for the submission is 6th of January 2025 for non-European applicants and 3rd of February 2025 for applicants who come from Europe. So you might wonder why this difference. This is because the whole application process and the evaluation itself takes some time for us. And then also students coming from outside Europe need enough time to apply for their visa. In fact, we help with the process, but then you have to apply everything by yourself in your home country. There are a couple of things that I wanted to mention with these deadlines. We are just a month away from the closing of the first set of deadlines. So if you want to apply to the Erasmus Mundus Fellowship along with your application for the GroundwatCh program, then you have to take into account a couple of other factors. So my colleague Karen will talk to you about other funding options. So I will only inform you about the Erasmus Mundus scholarship that is available. Every year we have selected number of scholarships available. And this is divided into partner countries and program countries. All countries, about 32 countries that come from European Union are program countries, and there are selected number of scholarships there. And the rest of the other countries have selected number of scholarships. And there is no special procedure to apply for the scholarship when you start applying for the GroundwatCh program. You will have a first set of questions asking if you have what is your means of source of funding for this program, and there you have to choose if you want to apply for the Erasmus Mundus scholarship as well. As you go through, there will be several other questions related to the scholarship and also to the program itself. So prepare well in advance your documents. And there is one more possibility. Suppose you are looking at some other scholarship, not the Erasmus Mundus fellowship, then there is a possibility that you can submit the application a little bit later, but everything should come before 15th of April. Yeah, so if you pass these deadlines, 6th January and 3rd February, that means that you're no longer eligible to apply for the Erasmus Mundus fellowship, but still if your documents are clear, you're academically admitted, then you either self-fund yourself or you look for funding from other sources. Yeah. So other information about the scholarships is available in the link given here. I think the presentation will be shared with you also after this webinar. Yeah, and outcome of the application for admission as well as scholarship will be informed to you by mostly by 15th April or by at latest by the end of April. Then you have enough time to make your preparations for the next step. So you have some testimonials from our star Groundwatchers here. A lot more can be found on the website as well. Karen, can we move towards the next slide, please? Thank you. So in terms of application, you will see we receive, GroundwatCh is one of the most sought out programs, and we receive hundreds of applications every year. How to make your application stand out from these hundreds of applications? The general criteria for applying to this program is not too hard. For example, your profile should come under the Earth and Natural Science or Engineering profile. This is one of the unique programs where people with different backgrounds can apply. You can see in this a chart of the academic background showing what was the background of our previous groundwatchers who have graduated so well. So you can see both natural sciences, engineering, remote sensing specialists, and also management sector and so on. So this is one program where we are open to different people with different bachelor degrees. And what you have to note is you need some basic mathematics, that is mandatory and non-negotiable. Then your bachelor's program should have some link to the water sector. And please do look at the credits as well. So for a bachelor's degree, you need 180 credits. That should be equivalent to the ECTS credits. We know of some countries where there are 3 years bachelor degrees. So make sure how many credits you have and if it is equivalent to the credit 180 ECTS scores. The compatibility of the subject that you took in your bachelor's or your first master's also count when we shortlist candidates. Another important criteria is the English language. So there are certain a list of countries, close to 20-25 countries, where if the candidates have gone through the entire program in English, then a specific English language exam is not required, a score is not required. But however, please go to the link given here to IHE website. There is a self-test link. So you can go into this link, and then that will be the first step for you to make sure that whether you need an English language exam or not. So like I said, if you check today, then you know if you need it and you can prepare it before the deadline of 6th January. The IELTS score should be 7 and a minimum of 6.5 in each of the sub-criteria. And TOEFL should be 21 for all the sections put together. So prepare well in advance. Karen, can we go to the next slide, please? Yes. I'll give you an idea about how we evaluate these applications, how you can make your application stand out. So we receive nearly at least a minimum of 300 applications every year. So you know how much this program is sought out. And people come from, students from different countries from globally apply to these programs. Yeah. First, what you have to think about is how to make your CV quite apt for this GroundwatCh program. So my colleagues Tibor and Teresa mentioned earlier about the program and the different components within the program. So think about how you can link these components and how they appear in your CV in itself. Yeah. In the online application process, there are 5 motivational questions that you would answer. So these are not very long; they're quite short. Therefore, you have to make a quite impactful statement in these 5 motivational questions. If you have not gone into this online portal so far and you're not aware of the questions, I can give you an idea of the questions. Yeah. So. And these questions or together take up the highest score when we evaluate your applications. The first of the questions is why are you applying for this program, and what are the specific challenges that you want to tackle when you finish this program, and how will this program help you to tackle those issues? What are your relevant qualifications to make you an ideal candidate for this program? And the last one is, where do you see yourself in 5 years after completion of this program? And the most important thing is, please write it in your own sentence. Do not use any of the AI tools. We have specific resources to check this, and the use of AI resources is completely, it is a not negotiable factor for us. So your application will not proceed to the next step if you use AI source. Yeah. So the other 3 points I mentioned are linked to the questions that I just now mentioned about. So what I again and again say is, apply in advance, don't wait till the deadline. And for some reason, if you are not selected, as I mentioned, we have hundreds of applications and only first top 100 are selected for the second step. If you're not selected in this 100 applications, don't get disappointed, because this is a very competitive program, and you're competing with candidates from all over the world. Yeah. So the good chance is not wanting to rely on the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, but also look at other national and international scholarships from your countries, which my colleague will talk to you about in some time. So keep that in background, and then you start applying to this program. Then your chances are much higher. Karen, can we go to the next slide, please? So this is to give you an idea about the GroundwatCh program, about the reach of the GroundwatCh program. The figure on the right side will show you the number of applications we have received from each country. Now we are in our 9th batch of Groundwatchers, and you can see that we have had so far more than 5,000 applications from the various countries that are shown here. And on the left side, you can see the 160 plus Groundwatchers. The community of Groundwatchers is increasing by every year. And you can see mostly from which countries our Groundwatchers come from. Yeah, but the impact is global, that I have to say. I think I'm at the last of my slides, Karen. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about the degree, very important one. So you know that we are with 3 major universities which form the consortium. Currently, we award a multiple degree, which is MSc degree in Water and Sustainable Development from IHE Delft, and MSc degree in Hydroscience and Engineering from TU Dresden, and MSc in Environmental Engineering from IST Lisbon. However, we're working towards a joint degree, and which will very soon happen, and then you will have one joint degree on as Groundwater and Global Change, Impacts and Adaptations, which will be awarded by all the 3 universities together, following the European approach. Thank you so much, and for those who are applying, all the best. I hope I can see some of you in the next batch of Groundwatchers.
Thank you, Brindha, for this comprehensive description of the application process, and also for the advice for all the attendees. So since it's a highly competitive selection process, I believe they should follow those advice carefully. Now we move to the last part of the presentation about employment and funding with Karen Rojas Gómez, who's a doctoral researcher at TU Dresden. She is a sanitary and environmental engineer from the Universidad del Valle in Colombia, with an MSc in Groundwater and Global Change. So from this program. And her research is focused on integrated water management and pollution control. In the last 10 years, she has participated in research projects related to water pollution in Colombia and Germany. She specialized in analyzing transport of dissolved particle-bound pollutants and sediments from urban areas into water bodies. She is currently supporting the coordination of the GroundwatCh program at TU Dresden. Karen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Michael. So thank you everyone for joining today. And as Michael said, I am also an alumni from GroundwatCh. And now I'm helping with the coordination of the program in TU Dresden. So I would like to show you a little bit of the employment opportunities that we have after graduating from the program. What we have seen from the last year is that 95% of our alumni are employed within 1 year after graduation. So it's a really high employment rate. And around 33% of our alumni are also working in consultancy companies and international development institutions and governmental agencies and research centers, such as Delft in the Netherlands, CBC or CBC in Colombia, for example, UFZ in Germany, or also other places in Bangladesh, everywhere in the world, anyway. And it's really interesting for us as well that 55% of our candidates or alumni are also pursuing academic path. So 55% of us are PhD candidates or are working in really good and prestigious universities and institutions around the world. For example, in the Netherlands, in Utrecht, in the Universität of Utrecht, in TU Dresden, in Germany, IST in Lisbon. So a lot of us also, after we graduate, we continue working in the university sometimes because we found a lot of PhD opportunities after that. And I would like to continue showing you some of the examples of the current occupation of Latin American alumni. So there are 50% of the alumni that are currently doing research. So they are either working as PhDs or postdocs or research assistants everywhere in the world. A lot of people also go to Europe or they come back to their own countries to continue with this academic path. 25% are working in consultancy and 20% in engineer. A lot of people are also working in international development, or we are related to some projects related to this, or in geological survey and independent work. So here we can see some of the examples of possible places where you can work after you graduate. And then I would like to show you, as Brindha said, a little bit of other options for funding to pursue your master program. So please have a look at the national fellowships. So in each country, sometimes there are some supports for working or studying abroad, sorry. So you can look at your own fellowships. For example, I know that in Colombia, there is Colfuturo, ICETEX, or in Chile, there is CONICYT, or here we can see like some of the list of the possible funding options in different countries that we have the experience that some of our students have gotten funding from there. There is also funding options such as OFIT and IAEA from Marie Curie Fellowship Program. This is specifically for women. There is also some scholarship from Taiwan. And in Germany, there is some institutions beside the Erasmus Mundus fellowships that you can find where they can fund you for at least 1 or 2 semesters of studying in Germany and studying abroad. So there is some scholarships from Heinrich Voll Stiftung and KD. For these ones, you need to learn or you need to have a little bit of German, but you can just have a look if it's possible also to get some funding from there, at least for working, sorry, for studying 1 semester abroad and the semester in Germany. There is also some scholarships from the Rotary Global Grant Scholarship. And this one, you should have a look at your Rotary Club in your home country and in at least of one of the countries that you are going to be studying. So either the Netherlands, Portugal, or Germany. And there is also an option to get some reduced tuition fee. It's kind of, we are offering when you apply to GroundwatCh and then you don't get the scholarship, but you have your own funds. We can also, depending on the placement of your application, we can also support you with some reduced tuition fees. So this is also really helpful. And the other option, of course, if you have savings, you can have self-funding. So please have a look at these possible scholarships. And as Brindha was suggesting, it would be really nice if you apply to both. So you can apply to the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, but since this is also really competitive, it's also possible because I got one of those scholarships, but I know that it's super competitive. So it's a really good idea to apply at the same time, for example, to other funding options. So for example, for Colombia, there are some scholarships that you need to apply and show that you have been accepted at the program. So when you get your letter, you can also apply for this, for example, called Futuro. And if you have any questions related to this, you can also write us. But it will be really nice that you, in your own country, also look for some ways of funding of scholarships. And with this, I'm finishing. If you want to have more information about the program, you can have a look at our website and use this opportunity now that we are here to ask any questions that you might have. Thank you very much for your attention.
Perfect. Thank you, Karen, for the details about also other opportunities for scholarship. That was also very clear and helpful. And it's a very nice way to move into the Q&A session. So we have already some questions in the chat box. I tried to take them out of the chat box, and we have 11 questions in the Q&A. So, and we have only 21 minutes. So I would start with those questions, and then if we manage to answer all of them, we can take some live questions from the audience. So there were many questions about courses, electives, GIS, etc. I saw Teresa answered part of the questions about the courses, but about GIS, are there some courses on GIS during this program?
Yes, Michael, I think I can also explain. So before the semester starts in Lisbon, there's a week course on QGIS given by a colleague, by Hans from IHE Delft. So it's also a collaboration between two institutions, and so that students are ready to follow the courses in at IST that require GIS skills. And so there's indeed one course on QGIS with a diploma.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And from the chat box also, there was a question about the countries. So someone was asking if their country is eligible. So I guess all countries, so it's a global,
That's
so
correct.
all countries are eligible to apply. Okay. Then if we
Michael,
move to
can I also emphasize that students don't need necessarily to have a strong background on geology or natural science, because we've had before students from mechanical engineer, and I mean, their interest should be related to groundwater and water resources, of course, but it's not necessarily a specific background or bachelor or on geology or civil engineering, environmental engineering. There are other degrees, and students can do really well following this course as long as they are interested in water resources and global change.
And that also answers Kunal's question, who has a background in electrical engineering, but she has experience in working with rural communities on watershed management. So I guess we also address this question through your answer now. Thank you. So there is a question also about electives. Also, you answered it, I guess, in the chat box already. Electives on watershed management, water balance analysis, flood management. But if you could also elaborate a little bit, are there some direct courses on water balance estimations, flood management?
They're mandatory. So indeed in Lisbon, Teresa can say there is a mandatory course on hydrology, of course, and also on let's say watershed management or river basin management. Yeah,
these are two initial courses in Lisbon and mandatory.
And then flood management can come in as an elective, if specifically for floods, can come in as an elective in Dresden, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Another question about scholarships. So someone is asking about the Marie Curie Fellowship Program, and she applies for it to raise her chances in funding.
No problem in applying both the Erasmus Mundus and the IAEA or the Marie Curie Fellowship. In fact, multiple options should always be kind of explored, and that is even possible within IHE. We also get the question sometimes, can I apply to more than one program at IHE or at Lisbon, in Lisbon or in Dresden, or even joint programs? In principle, the answer is yes, but of course we also really look at your motivation, and in that sense, motivation tends to be maybe less clear when you apply for 3 or 4 programs at the same time. But again, there is that possibility. But applying for multiple funding sources is definitely something we recommend.
Yeah, but also we would appreciate a compromise for you once you get the scholarship from our program.
Yes. Yeah, so that once that you either accept or not accept, once you accept it, that we expect that you come, and that only if there is some unforeseen reason, of course, that can happen. But typically, if you commit, then yeah, we really want to see you. Look forward to seeing you in Lisbon and Delft and Dresden.
Perfect. Thank you. There's also a question about applications again. Brindha is answering. Okay. So it was about applying separately for Erasmus Mundus, or one application is needed for both admissions and Erasmus Mundus scholarships. So the answer is being typed.
Yeah, I can also say,
sure.
so when you start the application process, in the beginning step itself, there is a question: how would you support how would you financially support this education? There you can mention, there's a box that you have to click that says, I would like to apply for the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. Like as everybody mentioned, please, even though you're applying for this scholarship, also side by side look at other options as well.
But it's indeed one process. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, nice, thank you. And this takes us also to the next questions, which is also about someone who had previously received a fund from, I guess, from Erasmus Mundus for another water-related master program. So they can reapply.
That's an important detail. If you have applied for another Erasmus Mundus and you have been awarded that Erasmus Mundus scholarship, then you cannot apply anymore. If you have just applied, if you have done other master programs in your past without that funding, we can apply. We do, of course, also look again at where you are standing in your career. So if you have done MSc, we've even had those with a PhD trying to apply, and there can be a motivation behind it that is applicable. But typically, yeah, you can have had a Master of Science and still apply for GroundwatCh.
Perfect, thank you. That was very clear also. And for the OKP scholarship, do you have many?
Basically, that those fellowships are in the end phase, and there's no clear information about renewal of the OKP program. But in any case, for joint programs, they were not eligible because they were typically meant for Dutch-based programs. So we have never had an OKP fellowship for the GroundwatCh program.
Okay, thank you. We have many more questions to come. Some of them about the credits. So I saw in the chat box an answer about the credits conversion some time ago. So we can maybe skip it for now. And there is a question about the IELTS requirement. So someone who applied twice for the IELTS, but in grade 12.
Yeah, maybe I can answer.
Sure.
So there are a couple of questions on the English requirement, please correct me. So if you come from certain countries, I'll put the link to the chat, the question and answer section as well. You can check the list of countries from where, if you had your earlier education taught in English, then you don't need English language certification. Yeah, with a master's degree, this does not apply to bachelor. So you should have an earlier education taught in English up to the master's degree. Otherwise, an English language certification course is or degree. Oh, sorry. Certificate is mandatory. So, and I also saw questions where it has expired. So it has to be in the last 24 months. So that's again a non-negotiable factor. But if you're not from these list of countries but have a master's degree from an English-speaking country, everything taught in English, you can still inquire about the possibilities if they can be exempt from the IELTS or TOEFL exam scores.
Thank you, Brindha. Now we can switch to another type of questions also. So maybe about the courses. So someone is asking about machine learning related courses or software courses and latest research, maybe from students during their thesis. Did someone use like something like machine learning or something?
Yes, and it's growing, of course. It's a growing field, and so machine learning has definitely been used. AI in machine learning is a growing field. For machine learning already exists for a long time. We have had one candidate from India who even won the Dutch prize for best MSc thesis in the Netherlands, are using machine learning in the Himalayas for spring mapping. So yes, definitely, and of course we also want to invite scholars to give more introduction, more courses on how to use machine learning and AI in particular in this growing field. So that is a growing topic, and we're open to also receive, as I said, those scholars and get more engaged in thesis work and internships.
Tibor, just to complete, for example, this semester in Lisbon, our colleague Ana Silva just gave a short seminar on how to use artificial intelligence programs for the science citation reference, looking in the web, and how to integrate this type of information into your thesis, and how to prepare a short technical review paper, for example. Now there's huge availability of AI programs that you can use in the programs. We are not aware of them all. So Ana gave a great class on that. And José Pedro, who is one of the professors of the hydrology courses in the artificial intelligence expert, will give a seminar with hands-on seminar for the students that are now in Lisbon, also so that they can be aware of the possibilities of using in water resources artificial intelligence, but also the risks and the limitations. Okay.
Thank you, Teresa, for following up also on this question. We have someone asking about also the background in chemistry and water chemistry. So I guess we answered this question also before. So the interest in groundwater exists with a background in water or other fields could work. And someone asking about the breakdown of the criteria used to rank the applicants. So that was mentioned also slightly, that the questions are the motivation questions, but you can add maybe something about that.
And also to show, to indicate that those are on the website, so you can definitely read calmly. But maybe Brindha, you want to add something?
To quickly break down, it's a 100-point system that we have, where all parts of your application are equally important. So do not think that the 5 questions I have mentioned are the ones that are most important, but also the other parts. What is all counted is your bachelor's degree and the relevance of the degree to this program. And then comes those 5 questions I mentioned, which you will see in the website and also in the application process. And then you have also your credits, the credits of your previous degree, and which is then converted to a common scale based on from which country you got this grades. The last one is the letter of recommendation. You have to submit 2 letters of recommendation, and then which should specify your eligibility or your background and also your characteristics. Not to a very general reference letter. Please make it very specific to your case. And then Michel, if I may add, there are questions about work experience. I would like to link this here. If you are going to get 2 reference letters, maybe one from your academic mentor and one from your work would be even more valuable, will add value to your application.
Yeah, that's a nice advice also.
Michael, if you give me 1 minute, because there was a slide on my presentation that we've passed, Karen. It's the next slide. It's about field work, I think. So maybe, this one, because this is really an important part of the program. And the IHE and all partners put a lot of effort on this field work that takes part usually in France. And it's this year is going to be, or next year is going to be a 3-week in the field. I think it's one of the most favorite times of the students, and Karen can confirm this version, because it's an opportunity to integrate all the theoretical aspects that you've learned in the 3 universities in the field during 3 weeks. So you learned how to carry out the experiments, the different methodologies, and then you need to study a sub-basin in detail with surface and groundwater resources. And it's a teamwork also. It's also an important experience for you to share, to know how to share work between different students with different degrees of specialization. So we always integrate geologists and hydrologists, so students with different backgrounds coming from different countries with different cultures. And I think this is very important for your future learning experience.
Yeah, thank you for also discussing the fieldwork. I also attended this fieldwork with students from GroundwatCh. So it was because I'm from IIT, so I can confirm again also with Karen. We have some questions also about virtual or in campus. So it's in campus.
Yes.
So yeah. And a question about age limit for applicants.
No, there's no age
No
limit.
age
Yeah,
limit, yeah.
exactly. I replied, indeed,
Okay.
thanks. And just maybe for those of you who are a bit worried about your visa and coming late, of course, we want you to come on time, and but sometimes that's not in your hands. So we do allow that you attend the first weeks or 2 online, if that is really needed, because you cannot travel because of your visa. So ideally, you're with us as soon as you can.
Thank you. So we almost answered all the questions. I see Rashmi, Ja, and she has her hand raised. So maybe you can join us and ask your question directly. I gave you speaking permissions now. And or if someone else would like to ask a live question. Yeah, hi.
Hello. Actually, I wanted to ask about the conversion of credit hours to ECTS.
No.
While my colleges do not offer any such letters, so where do we need to get it from?
So who was this?
Rashmi.
Rashmi, I think you're joining us from India, if I'm right. And UGC.
No,
Sorry.
I'm from Nepal.
Oh, you're from Nepal. Then can you check your national system where there is this conversion of grades to ECTS? I have to look if there is an European website that we can look for the change of credits, but I'm only the other one.
Is it about the credits or about the scoring itself? Because I guess, and in both cases, there are ways to convert for sure, because we have had it from all countries, including many from Nepal. So there should not be an issue there, but please do share it through an email. And our secretary from the student admission office typically has the answers for that you require.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Rashmi. I hope we answered your question. And there are 2 more questions in the chat box. One about PhD. So PhD is not directly part of this program, but as we mentioned, there is a big chance for students to graduate.
To get a PhD, is that the question?
No, the question was directly
can you apply, or do you get? Is there a possibility to continue for a PhD?
No, it was. One second, I'm losing it because people are typing the chat box.
Yeah. Easier would be in the question and answer. But in any case, if you have a PhD, then it's not very, let's say, logical for us that you would apply for the program because you're further in your career. Yeah. If you're looking for PhD, then the chances are very large that you can get a PhD somewhere, not necessarily in one of the 3 countries, but there's a big possibility that 50% of our alumni have successfully applied for a PhD program. Yeah.
Nice, thank you. And the work experience question is already answered, I saw. And we have a new question about one of the slides. So the slide concerning the degree. Yeah, so there is a bit of confusion.
So the second bullet point, I think it said towards the future, the joint degree. Maybe Karen, if you can bring it up, the slide on degrees. But we are working together with through the European approach. It's a European system where we're trying to have the 3 partners come together and emit one single document that is a diploma, and another document that is the diploma supplement, where you have one degree signed by the 3 partners, a joint degree, therefore, on groundwater and global change, still indicating the 3 individual universities, but all of them signing on one single page with one curriculum with your marks in converted, etc. But that is the difference from the current situation. So I hope that's clear.
Yeah, thank you. And we have a question from Roberta directly from the audience. So you can unmute yourself if you want. Roberta, are you with us? Yeah. We can't hear you. You're unmuted. Meanwhile, we have a question if they need to submit a proof of work experience, like a certificate from their employer.
Sorry,
do they need to submit the work experience certificate?
No, no. So indeed, I was answering to another person that work experience can be an added value. There's actually points given for either work experience or MSc, but we also give points for let's say the time. If you just recently graduated for your bachelor, you gain more points because you have just most recently finalized your last education, let's say. So basically, it doesn't matter whether you're young or more experienced. If all other conditions would be equal, then you would end up with the same scoring, basically. So either you have no experience because you have just graduated, or you have some experience because since the years that you graduated, you have worked elsewhere in the field or done some other studies.
Yeah, I guess the question was, do they need to prove that if they worked, do they need to bring any certificate from the employer showing this?
No, that's not necessary at this point.
Okay, great. Someone asking about IHE Delft, the 4 programs. So
yeah, that was, and I don't know, it will be online. I think it was 3 programs max, so you can apply to 3 Erasmus joint masters. As we said, be aware that we look at motivation. So why are you applying for 3 different joint master programs? How does that link to your field of interest? But in principle, yes, you can apply. And I think that we have to confirm that still the limit is still 3 joint master programs.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And we have more questions about IELTS, etc. That was also discussed earlier. So by this, we've almost answered all the questions, and it's time. So maybe we can extend 2 or 3 more minutes if any final questions would pop up.
The number of scholarships per year we see here, that is indeed around the Erasmus Mundus full fellowship is around 15 of those per year, and the partial tuition fee waivers, almost entire waivers, are about 8. So a total 23, of which 15 are complete and 8 are tuition fee based on. That is why we say we would like to have a group of 30. So that means we would like to strengthen the funding from other funding sources.
Okay, thank you. And we have the last question from Shin Meram. So also I would like to thank Shin Meram for helping organizing this meeting and taking care of the chat box also, and the outreach, also promoting this webinar. So, but he has also a question. So Shin Meram, do you want to unmute yourself? Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Good day, everyone. So my question is, while studying, are there opportunities to maybe collaborate or work with international organizations or NGOs during the course of study? Can you take on extracurricular activities and volunteer? Is they allowed? So thank you.
Definitely, the answer is yes. There's a possibility to collaborate with international organizations, either through an internship or through your MSc thesis ongoing projects. So there are even throughout your normal year, throughout the year, if you are interested in work that we are involved in at the 3 universities, then you can ask more about those projects, and you can already be engaged to some extent. And those typically involve government, NGOs, and other partners from the industry, for instance. But the most direct way is, of course, through an internship.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
you so much. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you, Shilmaram. And Ola Mikan, also, you can ask your question if you want directly. That would be the last question from the audience. Or you can unmute yourself now if you want.
And please don't consider this as the last opportunity you have to ask questions. There is the contact on the email on the website. So there you can ask many questions. And if we do not know the answer, then we'll pass it on to the student admission office, who has the details on administration and so on.
Hey. Do you have more time? So we have Celeste, because we couldn't take Ola Mikan, so maybe we take Celeste and we close.
Yeah.
Tibor?
Yes, Teresa.
Maybe just to emphasize, because after talking to Dylan, which was a North American student with us this year within GroundwatCh program, that the fees at American universities and Canadian sometimes are much more expensive than the ones paid in Europe. And so this GroundwatCh, since we have these grants that can waive part of the how do you say, tuition fees, exactly. I think sometimes it's even much cheaper to be enrolled in one of these Erasmus program in Europe compared to the costs they are paying back in the US and Canada. And Dylan was calling to my attention that it's probably American students are not aware, thinks that the prices are equivalent.
Mm-hmm. I think there's also a question on where the webinar and slides can be found, or the recording, if there is a recording.
Yeah, there is a recording. So if the panelists also accept, we can send this recording to the attendees.
Yeah, and there was a question still from the audience that we were interrupting. So please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll take our last question from Celeste.
Okay. Good morning,
Hi.
everybody.
Morning.
Yes. I'm going to introduce first myself. My name is Celeste Mavula.
Yeah.
I am actually in Burkina Faso.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the webinar, and the title of the webinar is very interesting, and that's why I wanted to attend the webinar. But unfortunately, I didn't exactly calculate the right time where the webinar should start. So I think I came late, and I'm really sorry for that. Okay, so I have questions just to try to understand exactly the program. I just now finished my master degree. I have a bachelor degree in geosciences. And we here in Burkina Faso, the problem of water resources is a big issue. And with the global warming, so we are really living the effect of that global warming. It's a reality here. So I just want to have more information about the program for attending the master degree. Yeah. I don't know if my question is well asked or not.
So the question about
the program itself. So
yeah.
I guess that was
the question is about
please,
is it a wide world program or?
I would say go and have a look at the recording once it's ready for you, and then you will, if you have questions, don't hesitate to just contact us through the contact address and the email that is on the website.
And also our website. It's plenty of information related to the program, so that you can check.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, that brings us. Yeah, sure.
No, I was just going to
Okay.
say that it's, I think for you in the future, if you get enrolled in one of these Erasmus programs, it's certainly, it will make a difference. The adaptation capacity that you'll have to have, but it's so important for the jobs, for the research careers that you are going to have, to get to know different people, different religions, coming from different backgrounds. And I think you are going to make friends forever. Also with the staff, because we are still in touch with alumni from the program, and there's really a nice atmosphere between the three universities, which I think it's really makes the difference for the success of the program. So we're counting with your applications and expecting you to join in Lisbon next year, and then Delft and Dresden.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Teresa, also for this concluding words also about the cultural perspective of this program, not only the technical scientific part, so which also gives it a lot of attraction. Okay. Do you have any final remarks or words to our advice, like in one sentence before we close?
Karen?
Yes, I would also like to promote that you can apply to this scholarship, but there is also a lot of scholarships available, so just have a look at the scholarships available in your own country, and if you have questions, just write us and we can support your applications.
Tibor, the same for European students from Portuguese-speaking countries. There are specific scholarships that they can apply, funded by Gulbenkian Foundation, for example, or Aga Khan Foundation. So please contact us in Lisbon, that we can help you to search if you are from a Portuguese-speaking country.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining this webinar, which already shows that you're interested in this program. Please do apply on time, and we hope to see some of you next year or in the years to come.
Yes, so indeed, from our side, we thank also the opportunity that was given to us to promote the program and to show you the availability that there is for funding, for scholarships, and the interest that we all have in building this community, of course, in groundwater professionals, that is highly needed in this changing world, where one thing is clear, that is the freshwater resource is a finite resource, so we need to protect it carefully. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for also joining us and giving us your time for this webinar. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.